And we welcome you into the Line Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Yeah, Goon's heading out of town, getting ready for a fun Super Bowl weekend. And we are here at Quaker Steak and Lube on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm not sure. I think perhaps no show Thursday, or maybe you and Booch doing a pre-recorded show on the Super Bowl.
You got to get out of town.
Yeah, we're both out on Thursdays. So lots to get into, though.
Yeah.
Let's start. Maybe we'll certainly talk some Super Bowl here. Did go through and see. I think it was USA Wrestling put out there are 7 former wrestlers.
Yep, I saw an article
Super Bowl, 4 Chiefs and 3 Eagles. So by that, you got to root for the Chiefs if you're a wrestling fan.
Come on, no. Jeez.
No, I'm feeling it, Goon. I'm feeling really, really good about the Eagles. I'm all over. Yeah, I think the Eagles are winning it, man. I just have a good feeling predicting a big Eagles win, Goon.
Jeffrey, you promised me you wouldn't do that. You promised. Look how good it worked out for us
I
so
just
far.
think they look so good.
I mean, it worked for your Steelers.
I'm not sure if the
Penn
Chiefs
State won the Rose Bowl
really
because of you.
Chance. I don't know if the Eagles stand the Chiefs stand a chance. Goon.
That hurts, Jeffrey. That hurts. That hurts a lot. I would root for your Steelers. That's an absolute lie.
I know it is.
I would not. I would root for the Steelers. Actually, I had to root for the Steelers because Pax was on the team the last time they went to the title.
Yeah,
but I'll give them. I've always said you got to respect the living hell out of the Steelers organization. That's the bottom line. It's a complete respect thing about how they do their business and how they go about their business. It's the fans I don't like.
That's just crazy.
It's just
best fans in the world.
People like you, I just cannot.
Best fans on the planet
because they talk.
You don't like good people.
Oh, good
What's the matter
people.
with you?
Yeah, and I even hate the Eagle fans. I'm an anti-Eagle mutant idiot fans.
I like you. am a Jalen Hurts fan, and I am obviously a Miles Sanders fan. So it's one of those. I'm not going to be heartbroken like you and Booch will if the Eagles lose, but I'm mildly pulling for the Eagles. I'm really more just hoping that it is a really good game.
I think it could be.
And I think it has the potential to be a whole lot of fun. Because, you just, with Patrick Mahomes, you know that the Chiefs aren't ever out of it unless it's 3 touchdowns or more with like 3 minutes left. But
he's proven that too.
Yeah.
He's proven everything. I mean, everything that people have done to him.
But I think this game comes down to, a couple of things. One is, can Kansas City at least slow down the Eagles' rushing attack? And I'm not sure that they can, to be honest with you. I mean, that is the one area when you're looking at this football game, that Eagles' offensive line, I just keep coming back to it all season. I mean, that is, of all of the things, and taking nothing away from Jalen Hurts and the running backs and the defense and the great receiving core and all of that, what is separating the Eagles to me from the rest of the field this season is that offensive line, and that they are both great at run blocking and at pass protection. And if you give your quarterback time and you give your running backs holes, good luck to the opposition. And I just that's what I keep coming back to. I do think the Eagles have the edge in this game primarily because of that. I mean, you might give the Chiefs a slight edge at quarterback, but Jalen Hurts is exactly what the Eagles need with that offense. And I don't think there's anywhere else where there's a definitive advantage for the Chiefs. To me, there's a definitive advantage for the Eagles with that offensive line.
Now, the key is, can they block Chris Jones? That their big D tackle. I mean, he's him and Aaron Donald are 1 and 1A in my opinion, in just dominating. Yeah, I mean, he can cause significant havoc on Jalen Hurts from that 3 tackle position, from the three defensive tackle. Get upfield, rush, stay in his lane. I mean, and he could force those defensive end. He could just sit there and swallow him up. So they need to really worry about him because he is the one that could, the Eagles' strength is their offensive line.
Yeah.
But he himself can ruin that offensive line by just dominating those two guards. I'm okay with him going against Kelsey, but there's, Dickerson's hurt right now. He came out of the NFC title game with a little elbow shoulder injury, but he's back and he's playing full time. But they're going to attack him. There's no doubt about it. They're going to put their best player on him and say block him. Lane Johnson is Lane Johnson. Kelsey's Kelsey, and the left side is pretty damn good. So that's the key to the game, in my opinion. If he can control that game from that three technique spot, the Eagles are going to be in a little bit of trouble. But if they can handle him, and I think that they can because of who they are and how they have been playing up front, that I think the Eagles got a pretty good damn shot. But I have to say this. I mean, when was the last time you went to thinking about a Super Bowl and just had no idea what was going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, you can sway me, I can sway you either way. These teams are that similar, in my opinion, of how no one knows how this game is going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to be a slugfest? Is it going to be a high-scoring game? Because both teams, they can do both.
Yeah. That's true.
Very evenly matched game.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be one of those I think it's going to be kind of a middle-of-the-road game in terms of the scoring. Like, I think a 28-24, 31-27. I mean, I don't think it's going to be, a 10-3 game, but I also don't think the winning team is going to be in the 40s either. I mean, it feels like high 20s, low 30s is going to be the sweet spot here for the victor on Sunday. But as you said, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different storylines going on. Obviously, the Kelsey brothers, which is a great one. I mean, dude, they deserve every ounce of credit those two are getting because they're so media friendly and media savvy and stuff like that. I'm so happy that Jason is getting the love that he needs, that he deserves nationally. Because in Philadelphia, he's an absolute folk hero. Absolute hero.
And we were talking about this a little bit over the weekend. I think both those guys are heading to Canton. I mean, Travis, I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, there's no question. Center's tough.
It is.
Me and Booch had this conversation with Brandon a lot. And that is that the interior guys are hard to get into the NFL Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame. Center has a better shot than guard. And from what, we're talking to Brandon Noble, who played, 9 years in the NFL as a nose tackle position. And we were going through guys in his era who should be in the Hall of Fame, and he was trying to tell us that, Kelsey is that good, but, a second Super Bowl, I think it cements it.
I do too.
Yeah,
because
I really do.
He's been such a key cog in that, in what is a great offensive line. I mean, he arguably could have, I think you'll have three anyway that'll be in Canton when it's all said and done. But,
of the line.
Yeah.
Malatai. The left tackle, you think?
I think if he continues
it's ridiculous what he's done.
Yeah, if longevity is going to be play into it, but I mean,
Booch has been on Stoutland. Stoutland is the O-line coach. He's been on him for a few years now, saying this guy should be the highest paid assistant coach in the NFL. So he's taken two different offensive lines and has completely molded these guys. So, and I know that we talk about Howie and how he drafts and this and that, and then but Kelsey is a 0-star coming out of high school. Lane Johnson was a quarterback coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Your all-pro left tackle was a Australian rules football player in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And then you have two guards who were, 2-star type of guys. I mean, that's going out, finding talent and coaching those guys up. And they were all drafted by the Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's impressive. And it is as good of an offensive line as there is in the NFL. If not,
Goddard deserves a lot of credit. Goddard is a man out there. He is a big boy out there. That's why it was okay get rid of Zach Ertz in the middle of the season last year.
Yeah.
It was okay because that Goddard his time had arrived, and I think that Goddard gave them one more tick up towards a more of a power run game than when Zach Ertz was in there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you would argue against that with what he has brought to the table.
Yes. So back to Noble, we talked about. So, I mean, in my era, Kevin Mawai, and because we had talked about, is Jeff Harding's a Hall of Famer? And the answer is no. You know, I could talk about my roommate, Marco Rivera, and Jeff Harding are both my roommates. They're 2, 3, 4-time Pro Bowl guys, but that's not happening because there's left tackles and right tackles who are 15, 12, 13 Pro Bowls. It's tough for interior guys. So Noble's saying that Kelsey should get in if he gets another Super Bowl. But
I think he will get in too. There's just been enough
his
recognition.
name is out there. Yeah. His name is all is everything. I mean, in Philadelphia, he's a god, but nationwide, people know who he is now. You know what I mean? I don't think 5 years ago they really didn't pick up on it too. But then he dropped that speech at the parade, and I think he became a national hero then. So the guy that Brandon talked about, and I'm going to say his name. I'm going to get your reaction. Olin Kreutz. He was the center for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And Noble said, you better have had packed a double lunch that day because you were going to work that day. And he goes, that's how good that guy was, and that's how fierce he was, and that's how mean he was.
I remember the name. Yeah. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but he was 10 years ago, 12 years.
I remember him, but in terms of whether or not he's Hall of Fame,
but he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have that name recognition nationwide where Kelsey is getting that now. And more power to him; he deserves it. You hear the talking heads on the different four-letter networks and the NFL network, and they're talking about how this offensive line and how physical they're playing, and you just don't see that in the NFL. I'm name dropping again with Jeff Harding's, and I remember Jeff was in the league, and when we were in college, I mean, Jeff would touch somebody, like he would hit a linebacker, and a linebacker would be like flying away. And Brady was the same way. They just had that shock.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They just had that power to them.
Yeah,
and you just looked at them like, "Geez, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? I mean, Jeff's like he was just a unbelievably strong and athletic football player. Kyle was the same way, but then you go to the NFL. And you watch the games, and Jeff. I remember sitting in an off season with Jeff, just having a few beers, and he's like, and I said, "What's the difference?" He goes, we could block guys with like one hand, and just get in their way. And he goes, the NFL, you just don't do that. It's all about getting on a guy, staying on a guy for a split second. He goes, I'm lucky, I have Barry Sanders, so it's like even less than a split second to hold on to a guy. But and then he says what he said to me, and then this is where the story's going. He goes, but then there's freaking Larry Allen. Larry Allen would just touch a guy and they would just fly away. Yeah. And Kelsey is turning into that right now. Again, like I was saying, you don't see – these are grown men. These are not 18 to 22-year-old college kids not knowing leverage and stuff like that. These are men. These are grown men, and you're not supposed to be able to throw around 300-pound men the way these guys do and how physical they are, because it does take – when you are a physical offensive line – and a physical running game, it does take a toll on an offensive line. I mean, I know you're the hitter, but you are also getting hit a lot more than you are if you were a three-step drop or a passing first offense. So, more power. I mean, they've done a great job, and I think that's my key. Obviously, where I was going to go with on that and that with the offensive line, and they have the Chiefs have a very good offensive line, a pretty good damn offensive line.
They do.
So whoever's defensive line is going to play better, I think wins the game. I really do. I'll take the Eagles' defensive line personally, but I'm a homer. But again, I'm looking forward to an absolutely unbelievable game. Whether the Eagles were there or not, if it was the Giants playing and they were, the Eagles team were in Giants outfits, I would look forward to this game because it's so evenly matched. I mean, more so than any other game I remember. Really, really. I mean, the line is gone. Eagles favored, Eagles dog. Eagles favored, dog. Dog. It's crazy how it's going back and forth, and that's because no one really has a real good feel for it.
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a fun game, and as you said, there's all kinds of great storylines. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Goon, but the head coach of the Chiefs is he used to coach the Eagles.
Yes, he did. That's a big storyline, a very big storyline. And then people were like, oh, well, you got rid of Andy Reid. And I said on the show multiple times, he had just ran his course with the Philadelphia Eagles. It was one of those things. It was a very good mutual parting. It was like an amicable divorce type of thing. he needed to get away. He needed to go to another place, and thank God he found the Chiefs, and the Chiefs found him. He reminds me of Marty Schottenheimer.
Well, it's funny because it is one of those things. Yeah, but it's one of those things where, I mean, it truly, how often does a trade or a departure like this work out where, 5 years later, 10 years later, 100 years later, you're going to be able to look back and say, yeah, both went on and had tremendous success. It was a great move for both of them. And it was. I mean,
the Eagles have
Andy
had
Reid
three coaches since him.
Remarkably consistent, and the Eagles are heading to their second Super Bowl with the second coach in 5 years. I mean, that's unbelievable. Some of the success on both the franchise's part, the Eagles, and Andy Reid with his new home. I mean, I don't know how fans of either individual coach or Eagles team could be unhappy at this point with the way things worked out.
The Eagles fans, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I was rooting for the Chiefs the last 2 years in their two of the last 3 years in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
absolutely, I did, because I liked Andy Reid. I really, really enjoyed Andy Reid his time in Philadelphia because it was a great time. But I got to say this: he also has the ability to, have a tanked game where he doesn't do well, and some of those happen in bigger games, i.e. the NFC titles that he went to 4 straight in his career at the Eagles, and they only went to 1 Super Bowl out of them. So
I will say, though, I think sometimes the narratives with those, and I get it. I mean, everybody's going to write the same narrative, and with I completely understand it.
Yep.
But the fact is, you get to that stage of the playoffs, you're playing really good teams and really good coaches, and sometimes it is a break or two. I mean, Bill Cowher had the same rap for all of those years. Mike Tomlin. So there are people in Pittsburgh that'll say the same thing about Mike Tomlin, and he's got the rings already. So, again, it is hard, man, to get to the Super Bowl, and even harder, obviously, to win the thing. There's only, again, one team, one coach each year that get to do that. And you have 32 franchises and coaches that are working their tails off trying to get there and be the one.
Yeah, there was a couple of different scenarios going on here with the Eagles. Obviously, the Kelsey brothers. Let me think now. That the Eagles quarterback 5 years ago, I'm talking about five years ago versus now. They had a second-year head coach, and it was Doug Peterson and obviously Nick Sirianni now. So it's a second year. He's going to go for his Super Bowl. The big one is that I'm assuming that Jalen Hurts would have been the MVP had he stayed healthy, in my opinion. That's just but obviously we know that Mahomes is going to win it here now because, when Hurts did miss 4 games, that did hurt his MVP carry. Yeah, I mean,
it's probably between Mahomes and Pickett now. I think Kenny Pickett's probably going to be a close second. No.
So they had Mahomes, who was the eventual MVP, was the person that they played in the Super Bowl, i.e. Tom Brady, and they won that game over the eventual MVP, which would, Mahomes is going to win the MVP of the NFL this year, and he's going to lose the Super Bowl just like Tom Brady 5 years ago. So a lot of those other little scenarios are pretty cool. The Eagles are wearing green. They wore green the last time, and they won the Super Bowl. I don't know what the hell that means, but hey, it is what it is. Looking forward to it. I cannot wait.
What you can get.
Yeah.
In terms of
how they say the clocks are slow when you're looking forward to something.
Yep.
I can't believe it's freaking only Tuesday, man.
I
see them putting the buffet up over here. I'm like, damn it. It is Tuesday. I thought it was damn Thursday.
Let's talk a little Penn State basketball next, Goon, because I won't call it a devastating loss because I was looking at the schedule, and we'll go over this a little bit.
Yep.
It is a bad loss. I mean, there's no way around that.
Correct.
And it was one of those games. It was fine. I was talking with somebody within the Penn State administration about going into that game. It's like, man, they need to take care of business here, and this just has the feel of one of those games that Penn State basketball will let get away. And sure enough, they let it get away pretty much from the get-go against game, Nebraska. Man. And so, I mean, it is a bad loss, and it does put Penn State behind the 8 ball a little bit. But I will say that they now have to find a couple of big wins down the stretch. But those opportunities are there, and they're not, beating Purdue type.
You look at the schedule here?
Yeah.
So I saw the scenario that somebody put out that they could make the tournament, and that was win them all at home.
Yeah.
Split on the road.
Yep.
But they had to get one I think Indiana was on the road.
I think they have. Yeah, I just had it up.
I'm sorry.
Let me.
Yeah, but they need to win out at home. I mean, that's a big thing. And again, you're not talking about. I mean, Rutgers is coming to State College, I think, right?
Yes,
and that's a big one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you now have to obviously take care of business against Wisconsin. You're at Maryland on Saturday. Obviously, if you get that, that to me pretty much negates the Nebraska loss. Like you're back to being right on the bubble. Like right now, they're just off of the bubble. Yep. Right. You win these next 2, and you're in good shape. But here's the thing. I mean, Maryland obviously is a big one Saturday. But then you're home with Illinois, at Minnesota, home with Ohio State, home with Rutgers, at Northwestern, and then home with Maryland. No question.
Northwestern's playing really well.
So to me, you've got to take care of business at home, and that's not going to be easy with teams like Illinois and Maryland coming in. But then you've got to steal a couple of victories.
The Minnesota game is a big one on the road.
Maryland, Minnesota, Ohio State, and Northwestern on the road. It feels like, Minnesota and Ohio State are, well, I mean, all 4 of them are winnable.
Sure.
I don't want to make it sound like, again, it's not
I'm with you.
Purdue type of talent that you're facing.
Rutgers is pretty damn good.
In the other, Rutgers is really good, but you have them home, and Penn State at home has been very good. And needs to continue to be. Yeah, I mean, so if
you saw the schedule up, what day of the week is that Rutgers game?
That'll be, I don't know, what is the 26th? Today is the
Saturday
7th, is it? Okay,
26th is a Saturday because February 14th is
it's a 6:30 start at the BJC.
Yep. And add 12 days to that is what? Okay, so it is a Tuesday. Oof. Oh, it's a Sunday. Sorry, 26. He said. Yeah, math skills aren't the highlight or the strong point of the Goon Ironhead show.
It'll be a Sunday 6:30 Sunday game.
That's a pretty good game.
I mean that's a big one. I mean they're all big now. I mean, but again, you've got to.
It's there.
You've got a whole home court, and I think if you can get 2 of those road victories,
correct,
and win your home games, then I think you win. I think you win 2 games at the Big Ten tournament, and you're in.
That's what he also said. That was the third thing they had to do.
Yeah, I think you win 1, you do all of that, and you win 1 at the tournament, and you are right there. You're sitting. I think. Obviously depends on what else happens with some other teams here too, but it feels like you're going to be one of the last couple in or the last couple out if you do what we talked about: hold serve at home, go 2-2 in the road games that are remaining, and then win 1 in the conference tournament and then get bounced. I think you are sitting firmly on the bubble. I think if you win all of those home games, because those are some good wins in there, Maryland and Rutgers especially would be a really good win to get under your belt.
That'd be the feather in the cap for the season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Beating Rutgers.
Although the Indiana win by double digits is looking better after that game. It was funny. The wrestling team went over and practiced there during that game, and the arena obviously was electric, and that is one of the coolest arenas that there is. It is. We've been in there a few times.
It goes like straight up, doesn't it?
It does.
It's really cool.
It is really neat. Yeah, it was the architectural design for that, according to our own Pat Don guy, was Noah's Ark. It was designed after Noah's Ark, and it does. When you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is just a really neat venue, but obviously a great win for Indiana. And I will say their fans were out loud and proud that entire night.
Maybe you might tell me my Indiana football story.
Sure.
Remember this one or no? I gotta re-up it. So Spider and I are out there in 2005. I went out there early to help him set up the locker room for the guys, and we had 2 attendants from the University of Indiana. They were paid athletic people. They were workers for the hotel for the football field, so they were Indiana people. And we were talking to them, and they were, they were having an up and down season. They had the season before their head coach had to retire because of a brain tumor, and he died that year, if you recall.
Yeah.
So my question to these guys were, hey, how are you guys doing with the coach? And they start talking, and me and Spider are looking at each other like, what the hell are they talking about? So these guys are like, well, you know what? If you make a deal with the devil, you're gonna get in trouble. You play a fire, you're gonna get burned. And we're like, dude, the guy died of cancer. Holy crap! I mean, this is insane. You guys are being pretty hard on this. So they left, and it finally dawned on me. I said, Spider, they're talking about Kelvin Sampson, the basketball coach at Indiana, getting them in trouble into some NCAA heat. And he goes, that is the definition of how Indiana basketball works. It's basketball. That's it. These guys worked for the football program, and we're asking about a coach, and there's nothing basketball season, and they were talking about. I mean, why would football guys ask about Kelvin Sampson? Why would I be asking about Kelvin freaking Sampson? And me and Spider were just sat back and said, "Wow." I mean, that place loves their basketball. They do truly, truly, truly love their hoops, man.
Yeah, I had a similar.
You play a fire, you're going to get burned. We knew what we were getting into, and you're like, dude, the guy had cancer. These guys are brutal.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I guess I would say how is wrestling like that, but Iowa seems to be the hardest core of the hardcore.
Yeah.
But they're still Iowa football,
For sure.
Now, didn't Kevin Horn on Booch's show, on Booch's the obligatory show, he told a story that they were leaving after Penn State, on the Jawan Johnson touchdown pass from McSorley. He goes, that ain't going to happen during wrestling season. That ain't happening. Then we're going to kick your ass in wrestling season. And then it was like sitting there. It's like, well, we've crossed the new world here, man, where we really don't care about the whole football thing. Now we're just talking about wrestling. So good for them.
Well, yeah. I will say Friday night was fun for Penn State fans.
Dude, I gotta say,
I was hoping hockey would follow it up with another win on Saturday.
Crap out of them, man. That was a dominant, as dominant a.
Yeah, I think that was. I actually think that was Penn State's best top to bottom performance of the season. That Ohio State.
Do you watch the broadcast of them later, like in the week or anything like that?
I see clips. No, I don't.
I mean, who's their coach?
See the whole thing. Tom Ryan.
Okay,
Ohio
he just
State?
sits. Yeah, he just sits there with his guys, and by the end of the match, he's yelling at the heavyweight, "Just do something." And you can hear it because everybody else is done. Penn State took every ounce of oxygen out of that arena. Yeah. They took everything that they had off. They brought to that because they were in there. They were pretty jacked. They had a good feeling. And
it's a neat arena. It's a small arena, but it is. They did a great job with that facility.
Do something. Just do something. Just do something. I mean, you've completely dominated an opponent when your head coach is screaming. Just do something. Let's get it over with. Get it out of here. Just do something. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good.
You said as good as they wrestled all year?
I think it was, yeah.
I would agree. I would have to agree with you.
I think they just, they were on point. It just and really even Sunday against Indiana, with a couple of guys out of me, Baylor Shunks in there wrestling against a top 30 guy and taking him right to the wire. Really was hoping Baylor would win that one. Just be a nice feather in his cap.
Yep.
And Donovan Ball did a terrific job filling in for AB at 184. So I think that. As usual, it feels like this team is rounding into form at the right time of the year.
Imagine that.
And I do think, listen, these next 2 weeks are big in terms of building some confidence in some of the younger guys, just to get that good feeling. You've got to take care of business. There are some really good individual matchups in both the Rutgers and the Maryland duel, but obviously Penn State will be heavily favored in both, and then an overwhelming favorite against Clarion in the season finale the following Sunday. But I think, we were talking, I think, earlier in the season, could this be Cal's best team yet? There's a lot of things that you can factor into that, but in terms of number of All-Americans and number of high-placing All-Americans, I think this team has a chance to do that. Now, you got to go out and do it. And I will say, I think this has been as crazy of a year of wrestling as we've had in a while in terms of big names like Yanni Giacomo-Hollis and Aaron Brooks losing matches. 197. There's 3 weights. I mean, I'm obviously excited to watch all of the action at all of the weights. But there are 3 weights that I just think are going to be bonkers for fans to watch at the NCAA tournament in Tulsa. 149, where, again, I think Shane Van Ness could go 1 and 2 at the national tournament, or could be in the finals. I mean, there's just such a narrow margin there. Alex Facundo, much the same thing. Those 2 weights to me are the deepest and strongest at the top. I think you can probably I'll have to go back and look at 49, but probably 8 to 12 wrestlers deep. And if a guy gets on fire at the national tournament, could win it. And 65, the same for sure. There's at least 10 guys there that, if they get hot, which means you have a couple of guys that I'm telling you are capable of winning a national title that won't be All-Americans. And then 197 right now. About. 197, there's not quite as much depth, but those top 5 or 6, and there's enough guys that are capable of wrestling a good match to knock off any of those top 5 or 6 on a given bout or in a given bout. I just think those 3 weight classes, you're going to have all kinds of different predictions about who's going to come out on top and what's going to happen in those weight classes. And I think, again, that's going to be good for the sport and fun for the sport. And listen, at the other weights, I'm expecting, like everybody else, Bravo, Young, and Fix to meet again in the finals. Dayton Fix has been crushing people this year. Obviously, RBY has as well. But, I think that's going to be, if we see that again for the 3rd time, is going to be an electric finals. Patrick Glory, it looks like, is moving back down to 125 here for Princeton. And so, if anybody's going to knock off Spencer Lee, you would think Glory would be the one that might have a chance at least to do it. 141's pretty open too, I think, at the top. Bo Bartlett could, end up being right in the mix there as well. Levi Haynes, certainly at 57, could be right in the mix. When it's all said and done. That's another weight. I don't think it's quite as strong at the top 157 as those other 3 weight classes, but it is a deep weight, and there's a lot of really good guys there at 157 as well. And then 174, I think, you've got the 3 guys at the top there that are going to be dynamic and fun to watch, with Carter obviously leading the way for Penn State, but Mikey Labriola and Makai Lewis are right there as well. And then, heavyweight to me is going to be we'll see. Colton Schultz, I still think, I know he's not had the season that he was expecting. I still think he is a dangerous threat when March rolls around here. So I would still throw Schultz into the mix. I know Lucas Davison is having a great season and is obviously a very athletic heavyweight, but to me, that heavyweight spot is going to come down to three. It's Kirkley, Cassiope, and Mason Paris. And, I think Penn State feels pretty good about its chances with Kirkley if he is healthy and on point when March rolls around. But I think that's going to be fun. And for the hockey team, Goon, it's just
Well, I want to go back to the rest real quick.
Okay.
I mean, the Big Tens are going to be freaking amazing.
No question.
I mean, we're talking about nationals. I mean, nationals are. I mean, that's a guaranteed to be a knockout right there. But the Big Ten. There's a lot of bad blood. I like. Do you see it a little bit? The guys are setting a lot of stuff up for future. I mean, I don't know if it's the WWF aspect of it, the MMA aspect of it coming in there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking with
there's a little shit talking going on there.
Well, I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I'm kind of old school like you. I just soon not have the talking, let everything be said on the mat. That being said, it's hard to argue when you see all of the interest and the comments that fans, oh, this guy's that, this guy's that. I mean, it does get the fans fired up. And I go back when I was first NCAA tournament I went to down in Maryland. There was a guy for Iowa State, Billy Kelly, and I couldn't stand him. I didn't know him, right? Like, and over the years I've backed off of that position. But I mean, I went into that. It's just like, as long as he doesn't win, and of course he won the doggone thing.
He played the heel.
Well,
I love it.
But you know what really, I don't even know that he was necessarily playing the heel. It just it was just my preconceived perceptions or whatever. And you get a lot of that. There was a, I'm not even going to go into the name, but there was a wrestler for Oklahoma State who I just thought he was a hothead, and well, my dad ended up sitting next to his parents at the session, and he's telling me about the conversation they had and what a great kid he is, and he loves the parents, and I'm like, wow, I can't be out there rooting against this kid. And the thing is, so at the end of the day, and again, I'm just speaking for me, I love, and I think as long as it's within reason and you don't get carried away and throw water bottles and that nonsense. But in terms of, hey, I don't like this guy and I root against this guy, or, I love this guy and I hope he beats him. That's cool. I mean, it is fun for the sport. And I think it's probably good for the sport to get that passion going for or against any individual. And over the years, there's been a bunch of them, obviously, and this sport, as much as any, I think brings that type of passion out. What I will say is you don't know what all is going into these kids, and they're still kids. I mean, I know, some of them now are 24, 25, but by and large, in my mind, they're still kids making that transition. And it is such a grueling sport, mentally and physically. There are guys that, yes, I don't like the addicts. Yes. But I will tell you, I have completely backed off he's a bad kid, or he, you don't know what all is going into it. And yeah, part of it is, maybe now more than ever that you're trying to create a brand for yourself, and whether, however you create that brand, I think it's, it's part of the game now.
I agree. And people are talking about it.
Yep. And again, I think,
so 2 years ago, I could not stand Spencer Lee.
Yeah,
he just came out. He had the bandana on when he was wrestling. He looked like he was trying to be Mr. Tough Guy on the main. Like, you're still 125. Sit down over there. Okay, it's all good. I get it. But you watch him now, and he's 38 years old. So he's obviously physically and mentally he's matured a whole bunch, where he is very, very businesslike. And And like you just said about how some guys can come off like that, and because he irked me for a while and this and that, and then he's grown on me like how good he really is, and that that comes through. So, as the great Nate Carr Sr. said, ain't nowhere to hide on that, Matt.
Yeah.
If you are going to write checks with your mouth, you know what better cash them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm looking. I mean, I just think I have to say it's probably. I mean, I'm a new guy within the last 10 years getting into wrestling. With the last 6 years being really into it. It's building up really, really good. I mean, obviously around here it is because it's easy to support a winner type of thing. But you're getting to know these kids, and you learn you're not just you're saying the numbers and the weights. And I catch myself saying it. And I was like, I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm so new to it type of thing. But it's building and blowing up pretty good, and in the right way. They're doing it the right way.
Yep.
But I am looking forward to that. Obviously, going to Tulsa, which is no easy way out there. This is what I'm finding out. It's so funny. People, I'm just asking them, how are you getting there? And they're like, it's plane, trains, and automobiles, pretty much people getting there. So, but I'm like looking forward to the Big Tens.
I'm with you.
I mean, they're in Ann Arbor, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks away.
It'll be 3 weeks from Saturday will be the start.
Yeah, man, that's going to be some good wrestling there. I mean, we're talking about the Nationals being that good, but I think the Big Tens are going to be real competitive and crazy. So, yes.
Yeah. One of the neat things with wrestling too, because you still have obviously Penn State is doing amazing things. Iowa has its program rolling at a very high level as well. And you have several others that are, on the cusp here. Oklahoma State had a great weekend. Michigan is pretty consistently up there now. Arizona State, Ohio State obviously is still loaded with talent.
Yep.
But then you have these guys that from all over the country, right? Like Northern Colorado has a couple of really good kids, including the top-ranked 141 pounder. And
they knew
it is neat to see. What's that?
Are they new?
Northern Colorado.
Yeah.
Relatively, yeah.
Getting big in the big scene. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about them.
But yeah, I mean, but you have the neat thing about wrestling is that you can be at any school, and if you work your tail off and you have, I mean, obviously you've got to have some talent, but you don't have to be with a Penn State or an Oklahoma State. And
that's a good point.
And it's funny over the years.
That's
the
a really good point.
Kids, who have had great success at smaller schools.
Yeah, you can be on a bad team, but you can be excel and still you can win on your own.
Yeah.
Huh.
The other thing that with wrestling right now is we keep getting it seems like we're getting what I would have once considered generational talent, and obviously, I mean, Penn State's getting a lot of it. Like every year.
Yeah.
And the number of kids that are coming out of high school that are, and we just had this week, I want to make sure we mention it. Jax Forrest won the Edinburgh Open this past weekend. Jax is just a freshman. That's a freshman in high school, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pinning collegiate wrestlers, a freshman in high school.
Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
The Edinburgh Open was open to college guys, and he won it.
Yes.
Holy,
a freshman
where's he from?
In high school. Bishop McCourt. Now he's North Carolina is where he's from, but he's moved to
Court's Johnstown, right?
Yeah.
God,
is wrestling Bishop McCourt. But
I mean, what high school and college kids?
He pinned a couple of Ohio State wrestlers.
Backups type of.
Well, I mean,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, backup and or redshirting this season. I mean,
are you kidding me?
No, it's pretty. But this is where I was going with that. Is one of the neat things about wrestling now is that these kids, because of social media, because of again, the word about these guys are getting out. And again, the downside of it is now people are already projecting, oh, this guy's going to be, you don't know. I mean, that is a phenomenal accomplishment, but burnout, injuries, there are all kinds of things that play into it, and how you deal with the pressure that comes. I mean, it is a really cool story, but now everybody's going to be, telling you how great you are, and that, do you have the maturity as I don't know how old he is, but 15-ish.
Wow.
To keep working your tail off and keep it in perspective. But it's amazing.
That's
stuff.
The key, is keeping it in perspective. Now, I have a theory, because I've learned this about football guys, and wrestling is obviously following suit. They have such a development process as a younger age than we ever did.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. These kids know about nutrition. They know about health and this and that. Our idea was of a good weekend was, playing basketball on Friday night, going out, get drunk on Friday night, and, doing whatever Saturday and playing another game Sunday type of thing. I mean, it was just, that was in high school. But like these kids that are younger ages are realizing that, okay, I need to do this, and they understand the importance of sleep, and they understand the importance of their health, and they understand the importance of weight training and their diets and stuff like that. Stuff we had no idea of. I mean, you and I grew up when they're like
competition that is.
It's worldwide. It's coming from everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, and so you're going out and you're going to these tournaments. And again, I'm sure there was some of that when I was a kid. I honestly was not aware of it. And I mean, we had some pretty good athletes. I was not one of them in our neighborhood. I mean, like next level good. But what we did was just we played baseball in the summer. We played football in the fall. We played either basketball or wrestled in the winter, and we played baseball or ran track in the spring. I mean, that was just what everybody did,
guys and girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, different sport, but I mean, it was, and you played with the kids in your neighborhood, and then against the kids within an hour and a half, 2 hour radius of the time. I mean, we never. Amazing. Again, I'm sure there were some that were specialized in different sports, but boy, it was not nearly as common. I mean, they are starting at like 6 and 7, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I've gotten into a couple of conversations. It's like, well, my kid loves it. Well, does he love it enough at that age that on his own he's asking you to go? And I mean, maybe he is.
Be interesting to see.
I do think you need to be careful as a parent that it is. I mean, that is your kid that's driving it. And if a kid has, falls in love with a given sport, by all, and he has a proclivity for it. I mean, I'm not telling you not to pursue it, but man, I think there is something to being able to experience a lot of different sports and stoke the competitive fires till you get into high school. So, at least before you start to really specialize.
I had a girlfriend of mine within the last 20, 25 years. She was a horse trainer. So she trained horses and this and that. And my niece was really into it. And she says, you'll know at 16. And I said, what the hell does that mean? And it is, you're either going to get your license and chase boys, or you're going to stay with the horses. And that's for that type of sport. So I wonder what it is with a high school wrestler type of kid. What is that like cutoff? Like, okay, because I mean, you and I grew up, again, like I was saying, we grew up not knowing all this stuff, but the guys we grew up with whose parents were really super hard on them, they all burnt the hell out.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd Marinovich, I mean, just that's exhibit A, 1A. Yeah. Just look at that one. That's all you got to look at. And that's like the stuff when you're over coaching. And I know what you're saying about with these young kids right now who are on all these wrestling matches, and I got to go here. And, it's almost like a badge of courage for the parents.
Oh, all of these sports have it, though.
I know,
it's like
crazy.
It's just, it
you're
used
right. It's
to
not
be
just
like,
wrestling. It's
well,
everyone.
no, but I mean, it used to be like, there might be like gymnastics has almost always been that way, like for the elite I'm talking about. And then, I mean, there's, figure skating, but like I mean, lacrosse. I mean, football. I mean, but I mean, all of these sports now. It's like to be at the elite level.
Wow.
I think a lot of people are feeling like, oh man, we got to get the kiddos started at 6 or 7, and I'm telling you that you don't.
Yeah.
If your kid is loves it and has a natural talent for it, exposing them to other sports at least through elementary school is not going to be a bad thing. One of the things I worry about, and I don't know if there's been any studies, I'm guessing there either are or have been. I'll have to look into it, but a sport like wrestling, I do worry about not just the burnout factor, but the physical toll that sport can take if you are like going year round.
It is year round. I mean, I never realized that.
And you're going in a bunch of tournaments and stuff. Now, again, you can go year round, and if you're going to a practice a week, or there's different. I guess standards to it that different people may be held to, but I mean, if you're going hard year round from the time you're like 7 or 8 or even like 10, I'm telling you, by the time you get to college, your body and your mind, but I mean, your body only can take so much punishment and grind.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just worry about it. I don't know that maybe misplaced concern, but
you're right. You're right to worry about it.
So
I have
real quick on Penn State hockey. I love this team. I still think that it could go all the way when it's all said and done. Man, I just want one of these weekends them to sweep the doggone thing.
Get ahead.
Yep. It just and again, I mean, I get it. They're playing really good teams. It's not a shot at them at all. It's just, man, you want them? Let's take both of these. And I really thought they were going to with Ohio State. And then the Buckeyes got the.
So real quick, I mean, I have to ask you this because we're talking about all these different sports. And is the Big Ten the most superior conference in the country right now?
Overall in athletics?
I mean, athletic-wise. I mean, it's really, really crazy.
Overall, I'm
looking at the hockey. I mean, I know we're in the hockey region. You know what I mean? So I get that. That's
the only one that would be close, and again, I'd have to say I haven't really studied this. Would be the Pac-12 in terms of overall
because they got like 900
the Pac-12
sports.
Has but and so they excel at some that the Big East or the Big Ten for a variety of reasons doesn't. But like golf and tennis and
I wonder why.
Well, exactly.
We play well on ice and in cold environments, and they play well on the outside stuff.
But I do think when you look at the overall, I mean, the Big Ten is as good as it gets right now. I would argue in football. I guess that's debatable with the SEC.
I mean, but three in the top 7 in football.
I think the Big Ten is equal to, if not better than any other conference in football. There's no question in hockey. There's no question in wrestling, and there's no question in women's volleyball that it is as good, if not better, than anything else out there. I think men's gymnastics, again, it's kind of a small niche right now. I get it in collegiate sports, but there's also no doubt there. But you start looking at wrestling at some of the other sports now, and the consistency with which the Big Ten is at least competing in those other sports. Yeah, I think it's certainly right there, if not the standard bearer. Right now in the country. All right, final your prediction officially for the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Well, my prediction, I think the Eagles are going to win by 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you. I mean, I really do. I just have that feeling, but I could be completely off, way off, homer, and that.
The Eagles are going to have to overcome the Ironhead jinx because I do think I'm taking the Eagles, and actually pretty similar to you. I don't think it'll be 2 touchdowns, but I have it by 10. I think they get the lead and they pound the ball in that fourth quarter. I have a really good feeling about it. Take that, Booch. Take that, Goon. I'm taking the Eagles.
I will never root for the Penguins or Steelers ever again.
We will be back on Tuesday to talk about all that occurs between now and then in the world of sports. Until then, be good and be safe.